It's the Score North Twin Show.
I don't think we're sitting here going into the break feeling tremendous about everything that happened in the first. It wasn't the first half of all first halves. I mean that's for sure. But I think there are a lot of bright spots in our first half. I mean, you look at the way our pitching staff as a whole. Today I'm kind of setting today aside right now, but we really couldn't have thrown the ball overall much better than we did. I mean, we competed, we made pitches. We have guys who showed up this season ready to go and had exceptional first halves all the way through.
Guy who's sipping his coffee right now that will not be setting yesterday aside. No.
Just go ahead. Explain the show, because I'm just disgusted.
Okay. Well, after a 2-year hiatus, the Score North Twin Show is back. Let's go, boys. Let's pump some positive energy here, okay?
Let's go. Yep. What we do here.
Some positive vibes.
Yeah.
Come on, Judd.
When last we left you, for a long time, it was the first place Twin Show, land of 10,000 rakes, which, if I'm not mistaken, has been
cut the brakes.
Has been ripped off by the Twins. In fact, I saw, as I walked to the press box in a Twin store yesterday at Target Field, a land of 10,000 rakes T-shirt that was probably cost about $40.
So it was on discount, or no?
40? No, I'm saying. Okay, it was 50 then. My point is,
this offense is not raking right now, so we should probably cut that price down.
Exactly.
But yes, this is the return of the Score North Twin Show. Your home for Twins therapy, and it's a place where we just want the Twins to win a playoff game for the first time since 2004. Okay, that's our baseline. That's what if we're hard on the Twins, it's because we just want them to be better. But before we get into our Monday State of the Twins discussion, which we've been doing on Mackey and Judd for almost the entire season, we're making some changes to the way we distribute Mackey and Judd content here. So the headline on this podcast is, the Score North Twin Show is back. That's right, it's back. Here we go. But starting this week, we are essentially blending a lot of our Mackey and Judd content into our team-centric shows. So when we talk Timberwolves, it'll be part of Flagrant Howls. When we talk Twins, it'll be Score North Twin Show. Judd's Hockey Show is going to have the Hockey Whisperer, or I guess, what's the word when you, like, by proxy, because he's still on hiatus, technically. So
well, I'm hoping he comes back.
He'll appoint me by proxy.
Yeah. I'm hoping he just comes back, but let's,
We'll see.
Fingers crossed.
And so we just see so much positive feedback with our team-centric shows, obviously with Purple Daily being, for 17 straight months, one of the top 15 national football podcasts in the country. The way that people discover content, we're going to pour more energy into our team-centric shows. We will still have Mackey and Judd features. If you listen to the Mackey and Judd podcast feed, all of this will still be delivered to you that way, and the Score North YouTube channel and the Purple Daily YouTube channel. So really, nothing changes in the way that you consume Mackey and Judd or the team-centric shows, except for the fact that we are pouring more content into the team-centric podcasts. More Flagrant Howls, more Judd's Hockey Show, and not only more Score North Twin Show, the Score North Twin Show for the first time in 2 years. So we're super pumped about this.
And I think in particular with this show, I'm really glad it's back because of this. And I feel like Purple Daily serves this purpose too, but this Twin Show especially. And it's this because we see this on Twitter. And I know this team is not super compelled. Well, they're compelling for all of the wrong reasons. But why I like that this show is back is what I think we offer better than anyone in town, which is the therapy / it's okay to be mad program. Now, if they're doing well, we're going to celebrate it. That's awesome. 13 wins for the Vikings last season was awesome. It was great. But I also feel like, especially Twins fans now, that there's not an outlet where if they're upset or if they're well, what's going on here, that they're not sort of shamed. Fans, typical fans, you guys want to change everything. This show allows you a forum. This show allows you a place it's okay to consider yourself a really good Twins fan and not have a smile on your face about this team constantly.
Yeah, there is room to love your favorite team and be upset about it, and so we'll use this not all the time. There's definitely going to be. I mean, I'm going to be a homer, probably more than you are, but this is a forum for Twins therapy at this point because, and we can get into the overall snapshot that'll lead us into the talkers. And the first one is a big question, but they have a 45-46 record. They're a half game behind the Guardians. Their pitching and defense outside of yesterday has been phenomenal through the first half of the season, second in runs allowed per game. The offense is 24th in runs scored per game. And again, yesterday it was just like, while the Orioles it started off as like paper cutting the Twins to death, and then they start hitting bombs, and it was just everything, right? But still, sitting here, under 500, a half game out of first place in a bad division, Baseball Reference still gives the Twins a 72% chance to make the playoffs, a 2.5% chance to win the World Series. You're telling me there's a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Fangraphs gives the Twins a 58% chance to make the playoffs and a 3% chance to win the World Series. So, as bad as it feels after yesterday, the path is still there to go play in October to win your first playoff game since 2004. So before we get into the big question to start this show here, which involves trading for a big bat, any quick thoughts from you guys on just like the relaunch of the Score on Twin show, the overall snapshot of where they sit at the All-Star break?
Go ahead, Dex.
I'm just excited to kind of blend more of these team-centric things together. I think it's important to kind of lean into all that stuff. And I mean, look, we're at this awkward week where it's the only 3 days in all of the calendar year where there's no men's professional sport game going on. In the core four of MLB, NBA, NHL, NBA, there's no games going on because it's the All-Star break for baseball. But I think it's important to kind of lean into more of these stuff because fans want that type of content. So, yeah, I'm excited to talk about that. I'm also very excited to potentially get into a heated debate over here whether the Twins should be trading for one of the best bats in baseball.
Yes. So this State of the Twins episode is presented by our friends at Modest Brewing, just steps away from Target Field. It's just right off the light rail. Old Macadac went to his local liquor store and bought a few Modest himself over the weekend, enjoyed them while soaking in some sun. It's one of the coolest craft breweries in the Twin Cities. It opened in 2016, still relatively new, but they've just kind of exploded the last few years. And they recently began expanding distribution into New York, New Jersey, Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, South Dakota. So even if you live outside of Minnesota, modestbrewing.com, gentlemen, modestbrewing.com. All right, here's the question. Should the Twins trade for Paul Goldschmidt? So just to set this up, our guy Trevor Plouffe, I think was at the Talkin' Baseball podcast, Dex?
Yes. Yep.
He floated this. Mm-hmm. And like the Cardinals, they haven't finished below 500 since 2007. They haven't been this bad, which is 14 games under 500, since like 1995, I believe I saw. They're just kind of dead in the water. Their pitching is they've got a couple good pitchers who are going to hit free agency. Wainwright is 100 years old. You know, they're just like in this reset mode for the first time in a long time. Paul Goldschmidt is 35 years old, so he's no spring chicken, but he just won the MVP last year in the National League. He's mashing this season. Not quite MVP level mashing, but he's on pace for like 70 extra base hits. He's still an OBP machine, 370 on base percentage. He only makes $26 million this year, and that's going to be prorated for half the season, right? And $26 million next year. So it's a year and a half of Paul Goldschmidt. Now, Derek Falvey was asked by reporters over the weekend on the possibility of trading for offense. And he said, quote, "I still believe the vast majority of the offense we'll get the remainder of the season is going to come from the guys in that room. It's not going to be via acquisition that's going to make the primary difference. I think the crux of it is the vast majority of production is going to come from those 26 guys you have in that room. Can we add and complement that? Sure, but I think those guys are going to have to perform and be the engine that we built for the team." So he's basically saying, hey, we built a good engine.
Yep.
It needs to go. Like, I kind of interpret this as him saying, it ain't our fault. These guys aren't living up to their career standards. Mm-hmm. So would you guys consider giving this offense a jolt? It's the number 2 pitching staff and defense in baseball, runs allowed per game. Would you go and try to make a big splash like this?
I was on the fence on this until I actually, when you threw this question out a couple days ago, started to dig on this team and find out how flawed this team truly is. And the pitching has been good. And I feel bad because the starters have certainly held up their end of the bargain. But we are now, a little more than officially halfway through the season. The Twins started this season on May 1st, which was an off day. They were 17-12 in first place. Since that date, so since May 2nd, when they came back and played their first game in May, they are 28-34. The Twins are 9-1 against Kansas City. Strip out a minor league team, and by the way, they're going to go to Oakland and play 3 after the All-Star break, and that also is a joke dumpster fire franchise. But take out the 9-1 against Kansas City, and the Twins are 36-45. So the flaws here run fairly deep. And yes, Paul Goldschmidt could help you. But there is no way on God's green earth that I am greenlighting this trade if I am the Pohlads. And I know what you're going to say next, which is the Pohlads don't care, and you might be right. I can't debate that, but I have to get into their minds and think, what would I allow? And Paul Goldschmidt turns 36 in September. As far as I'm concerned, he's probably going to go to a team because I do think that he gets moved. It makes too much sense for the Cardinals not to leverage that chip. But Paul Goldschmidt, to me, is a final piece of the puzzle guy to a team that's going to make a run. The reality is this. Carlos Correa is not in a slump. He is having a miserable season.
What differentiates a bad 3 months from, like, you're saying that this is a new baseline for Carlos Correa?
I am saying for this season, this is my assumption. Yeah, I expect him to come back actually in 2024 and be good again. But whatever it is, every time that the apologists say, well, Correa went 3 hits tonight, it's a new it's a new Correa, what happens? Carlos Correa comes back and goes back into a slump. Byron Buxton provides you some power, but his at-bats have become difficult to watch. Case in point yesterday, 3-0 count. Next 3 pitches, including a terrible strike 3 take, he takes them and goes back. He is now at about 210. And the reality is he hits for some power, but as far as what we expected the Buxton experience would be, we are nowhere close. So you're telling me you're going to get Paul Goldschmidt, which, by the way, I don't think that you can win the potential bidding war for him. I looked at their farm system yesterday.
It's legit.
It is, so I did some digging on the potential trade candidates for my guy Goldie, okay? The Giants have a southpaw by the name of Kyle Harrison, who is the 15th overall prospect per MLB Pipeline, who could be traded. The Marlins, thrown out as a candidate, actually 4 of their top 5 prospects are all pitchers. And by the way, the Cardinals are targeting pitching back because, as Phil just said, they've got a lot of guys who are either coming off the books or just aren't going to be back. The Phillies, their top 3 prospects, all pitchers. The Twins have their 3rd and 4th on the Twins. So so in the MLB Pipeline Twins rankings, their 3rd and 4th prospects, a kid at high A, which is Cedar Rapids, named Connor Prelip. And
he's a struggle bus.
He's a struggle bus. And a guy at Double A by the name of Marco Raya, I believe, Raya.
Yep. He's actually right now they're probably most successful young pitching prospect.
Right. But those guys are ranked 3rd and 4th in the organization. They are not even in the top 100. So I don't think you have the assets to get Goldie. But all of that being said, I also don't think it's worth it for a soon to be 36-year-old guy who might give you a little bit of pop, but we're going to get to a different subject, which I think would actually give you far more pop, far more influence than going to get a guy for a team that, let's be honest, too. Again, you guys, I don't care what the pitching says. They're 36-45 if you take out the Royals.
But you can't say, I don't care what the pitching says. The pitching is excellent. They need better hitting.
They do, but what I'm saying is you can't. But you're assuming that Goldschmidt is going to be in a lineup that has any competence. Carlos Correa is halfway through not one of the worst season of his career.
Well, Goldschmidt is the competence.
Byron Buxton,
adding the competence.
But what I'm saying is it's not going to be enough, and you can't even get him. You're not going to be able to get him.
Yeah, you can get him. I think you can get him. So here's what I would do. So the Cardinals want pitching, right? That's their biggest thing here. Mm-hmm. They probably also want a pitcher that is established. So I'm dangling Bailey Ober as the start. Forget the prospect, because prospects are subjective, and also the Twins don't really have the high-end pitching prospect to give up. So what can you give up instead? A ready-made starter who you can control for 5 years. Bailey Ober is a pretty damn good pitcher.
Bailey wouldn't be 5 years, would he? Would he be 5? This is like part of a third.
4? I don't know if what his clock has accelerated at.
I have to look at it.
He's 27, by the way, so he is like in his prime.
Yep. So you'd get an established piece in your rotation
so you get him through 2027. So you get him. So yeah, you get him for 4, 5, 6. I guess for 4.5 seasons. Okay.
So I would give up that, and then I know that everything's always changing with the Goldschmidt camp, but what I have seen from the reports, what you would have to give up to get him, they're asking for at least a couple top 100 prospects. I'm counting Bailey Ober as one of those top guys, so I'm only going to give up one top 100 prospect. So I don't want to give up Brooks Lee, but that's probably what it would cost. It would probably cost that. Now, he's also 35, 36. He's a reigning NL MVP. He's an on-base machine. He might be going to Cooperstown, for God's sakes. He's a really damn good hitter. But I also don't believe teams are going to be shelling out numerous prospects for a guy who is 35, 36, and coming down the hill potentially. So I would give up Bailey Ober, and I would give up probably Marco Raya and another fringe top 10 prospect. That's kind of what I would do it.
And Brooks Lee, Ober, and Raya?
This is so juicy.
I would say,
because you're not going to get him.
That's a haul, man. But
that's what they're going to get.
But here's the thing. So this is all right. I side more with Declan, and it's not that I dismiss anything. Pretty much everything Judd just said is correct. I would probably disagree. I do think there's a hot streak in there for Carlos Correa. I think there's going to be like a 1 or 2 month jolt, and it hasn't happened yet, which actually, if you believe it's going to happen, is more ammunition to try and add things to this team. Because you're looking at this team and saying, like I heard, Glenn Perkins and Dick Bramer on the broadcast yesterday talking about how this team should probably be 10 games above 500. And they had like a half inning discussion about it. And I agree. Their run differential says they should be. The track records of some of these guys in the lineup, Royce Lewis is going to come back from an oblique at some point, and he's been one of their best hitters when he's been healthy, but guy can't stay on the field. So if you believe that this team is bubbling under the surface and there's going to be some positive regression that starts sometime in July, sometime in August, imagine also adding one of the best hitters in the last 10 years to the middle of this lineup. Like, to me, the discussion should be more about, could you actually pull it off with, to Judd's point, like if the Cardinals want pitching, if you go to them and say, hey, we'll give you a 27-year-old Bailey Ober, do you want a 27-year-old pitcher? Or if they're getting offers for 21, 22-year-old pitchers with a full slate of team control who can be number one starters, like that's how they should be leveraging Goldschmidt to go get a future number one starter. And the Twins don't have that. I'm sorry. Bailey Ober is not a number one starter. Marco Raya is probably not a number one starter. But I would make them turn me down. This is a win-now situation. You have put yourself in a spot. You've traded all this prospect capital for pitchers last year. Look at the last few years. I mean, it's funny, like if you cobble together some of the guys that you traded for, like Tyler Mahle, for instance, and you had those assets in the bank, you could make a run at guys like Paul Goldschmidt. So you're sitting here, it's like you maybe have like one more batch of prospects you could trade for one more piece. And if you get that piece, you almost certainly win the division, and you go into the playoffs with an excellent pitching staff. Now, taking Bailey Ober off of this pitching staff means that you can't have any injuries to your top three guys. You need Sonny Gray, Joe Ryan, and you need Pablo Lopez to be absolutely dialed in the rest of the season. So it gives you almost no margin of error. But this is where they're at. Yeah. Like, they've spent 3 years trying to win now, and they have failed. And they're sitting here with one of the best run prevention teams in baseball, a half game out of first place. I would tell the front office, if I'm the Pohlads, you know what? Go. Let's do it. Sick of this. Like, Joe Pohlad used the word urgency. Let's do it. What the hell? Like, you signed Carlos Correa. Byron Buxton's on the field. Royce Lewis is coming back. Alex Kirilloff is, having a pretty good season for the most part offensively, getting on base at a pretty high clip. Like, let's make a push for it. If we think this thing is going to regress in a positive direction, let's give it some nitro and boost this thing.
In reality, do you think after what we've seen, that it is going to go in offensively a positive direction, though? Because I don't.
Yes. Do I think Carlos Correa is going to finish the season like this? No, I do not.
But the sample size now for the season to me is too long. There's got to be concern about that. You cannot assume
I'm
that,
not
that
saying
a guy.
there's not concern. I'm saying I believe that he's not going to finish with. He's not going to finish this far below his career norms, and there's still 70 games left to play to straighten it out.
But the problem with that is he was, when it counted a year ago, he finished below his norms, and then he got hot when the pressure was off too. So we're in the second year of when it matters. He is not producing offensively.
But we're in he had 5 years in Houston where everything mattered all the time, and he was a really good hitter.
I know.
That's a huge postseason moments. Like a guy who's been there. It's not like he's not a theory. Like he is an established postseason performer and player that could get hot in October.
This Carlos Correa is not, though. That Carlos Correa was. I've seen too much when it matters to dismiss what we're seeing right now.
But so here's my question. What is the move? If they
well, I've got the
right
move
now
for you. We can get to that.
Okay.
Trading for Paul Goldschmidt to me is not the move that this team needs.
Okay.
Because I got to shake things up way more than that.
Okay. Well, but hold on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about, and I think Declan's talking about, moves that can help them win in October this season. They're a half game out of their division.
Yep.
They're the best team in the division roster-wise.
I hear you.
We're talking about winning this October, taking advantage of an opportunity. I know that this team has flaws, but you still have an opportunity in front of you. Okay. So are you coming at it from that same perspective, or are you talking about a huge organizational shakeup? Where are you coming at here?
I'm talking both, actually. I'm talking a short-term move that's going to give you a jolt and a long-term move that's going to blow things sky high.
Okay.
I'm talking about both things. This team, in fact, I got the records right here because I was looking this up yesterday as well in my work on this. So in 2019 and 20, Baldelli's first 2 years, and I think by then the second year of Derek, or the third year, I believe. I think he came in 17, right? Mm-hmm. In 2019 and 20, this team played 617 games, including the truncated 60-game pandemic season, and went 137 and 85, which is a 617 winning percentage in 222 games. So made the playoffs both years, didn't win a playoff game, won the division though both years. So we are now into the third season after that of Baldelli. This team, and Falvey, I should say to be fair, this team is 196 and 219 in 472 games through yesterday. Mm-hmm. That is a 415 winning percentage. That means a couple things. One, it means the longer Baldelli has been here, the worse this team has gotten as far as its success based on those first 2 years. And the longer Falvey has been here, the more this team has disintegrated, despite the fact that he has been, and I want to make something very, very clear here. You can fault the Pohlads for seemingly not paying attention, but you cannot fault them for being cheap. They are investing in players. They are investing in technology equipment that surpasses a lot of teams probably. They are investing in front office hires. They're probably double the size right now of employees in baseball ops than they were from Terry Ryan's days. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the short-term boost is this. I fire Rocco right now. I fire him today. And I put Jace Tingler in charge because I want to jolt. If I'm even going to consider the Goldschmidt trade, I need to jolt this entire team first. Not just with a player. I need to jolt this entire team. And I just gave you the justification for no matter how much or how little you want to blame Rocco, I just gave you the justification to make a move. This is the third consecutive year of subpar performances. Yeah. And I also think that we've seen enough too, including yesterday, when they give up 15 runs, and yes, it's one game, but again, if you take Kansas City out of the record for the Twins are 9-1 against KC, 36-45 against the rest of baseball. And yesterday, Rocco basically talks about, the All-Star break comes at a good time. The fire that we saw after the Braves game is long gone, and Rocco goes back to being Rocco. And I get made fun of this, but the total lack of accountability surrounding this team is astounding.
Oh, it's incredible. Oh, God, no one ever, historically, no one ever loses their job. Unless
So, Phil, if you go to work, and you're in charge of this, so it's not an apples-to-apples comparison, but if you were...
I'm Joe Pohlad.
But if you were working at there's urgency here.
Actually, Stanley Hubbard would be like the Pohlad.
No.
So...
Please don't fire me a second time.
So if you go to work, though, right, and there's never any accountability to people, it gets really frustrating. And if you are an overachiever, at some point in time, you're like, what the hell? And if you're lazy, you're like, this is great. No accountability. I can go 0 for 4, and I'm going to play tomorrow. Max Kepler now has been given a green light to play every day, despite the fact he's gone back in the tank again after a brief, just extremely, extremely predictable pop-up because he got screamed at.
Yeah. Well, what's amazing is people internally are sick of Max Kepler.
Yes.
But nothing happens. He just sits there on this contract and underachieves, factually and objectively. People internally are sick of Max Kepler.
Well, yes.
But he's just in the lineup every single day, right?
And that's the thing. And his spurts are predictable. They are predictable because you could tell he got screamed at. And then he's like, I'm going to show you for a couple of days. And then the next thing you know, he's grounding out to second base, and we're back to where we were. And he is in the lineup. Joey Gallo just magically appears every day, hits a home run a week, and strikes out the rest of the time. Is this all Rocco's fault? No. But a lack of accountability in that clubhouse is. And I'm sick of this. I'm sick of seeing this team. And in this case, I feel bad for the pitchers because I do think that they have more than pulled the load here. But I am sick of this dead-ass team showing up and doing what it wants and basically rolling over, Rocco whenever it wants. It's just clear that there is no direction here, and that is on the manager. And that's why if I'm going to consider your Goldschmidt move, I got to make more moves than that to at least tell these guys, you know what? There's accountability now. Because if Carlos Correa and Byron Buxton think that somehow they're the captains of this team, one, they're underachieving, which makes it very tough to lead. And two, they ain't doing a good job regardless.
What's weird about the Rocco thing, I'm going to go back to this Falvey quote for a second. All right, so Falvey is saying, hey, we could make a move, but let's be honest. We, quote, those guys in the room are going to have to perform and be the engine that we built for this team. He is telling you, front office is telling you, we believe in this engine. This is a good engine, which we could sit here and pick apart as we have, right? Just the Gallo thing and Kepler and all this stuff, right? Oh, the pitching has been a very formidable engine. So if the front office thinks this is a good engine and the pieces are underperforming, the manager's job is to create an environment, whether it's through, lineups or bullpen matchups, or whether it's through culture, it's through information and scouting dissemination, making sure that every player is performing at or near their peak, 90th percentile or whatever, right? And so from that standpoint, I think the answer is very clearly no. The lineup is not performing at that level. It's hard to sit here and say, here are the 5 reasons Rocco should for sure be fired. But it's also hard on the other side of the fence to defend him and say, here's why he for sure deserves. The defense of Rocco is like, well, but look at all these other things that aren't. It's not his fault, right? There's no real concrete defense of why something shouldn't be done at this point.
Right.
And so, if he got fired tomorrow, would I be outraged and say, what a huge mistake? No, not at all whatsoever, because something needs to change for this team to get sparked in the second half of the season. So, okay.
I guess I look at it as, number one, you keep Rocco for the rest of the season. Because as currently constructed, the Twins have a better chance of winning a postseason game in 2023 than they do next season. As currently constructed on July 10th, we went to July 10th, 2024. Their chance of winning a playoff game right now, in my opinion, is better than it is this time next year. Just because circumstances are different, you can't guarantee you're going to be in a better team next year. You have a good chance to win a postseason game for the first time in 20 years this season. Yep. If they fall flat of that, hell, if they fall flat even making the playoffs, yes, I am down. Hit the DNT button, blow it up.
No. You fire him now to win that playoff game. That's the point.
Yeah, you're saying that extracting Rocco and putting
Yes.
a new voice in, or in this case, Jace Tingler had it was like one good year with the Padres where they kind of.
But he knows
were
how to do
sparked.
the job. Yes.
And so you're hoping that his voice and direction and infrastructure building sparks things for the last 2.5 months of the season, right? So here's another one for you. This is from Jim Souhan's sit down with Joe Pohlad yesterday at Target Field in the Star Tribune. Basically, like, would they do something like this? Would the Pohlads, led by Joe Pohlad, make a big move in the face of disappointment and underachieving? And Souhan lays it out and says, the Pohlad family has owned the Twins since 1984. If there's a common thread from Carl, who bought the team from Calvin Griffith, down to Bob, to Jim, etc., it would be patience. The Pohlads didn't fire Tom Kelly after 8 consecutive losing seasons, or Terry Ryan, who ran the club as general manager for 6 of those seasons. And then, by the way, had like more losing seasons when he came back and was given, at the time, like a lifetime job, right? They've only had 4 managers and 4 GMs since 1986. Will patience be a hallmark of Joe Pohlad's tenure? He hesitated before answering. Quote, I did just talk about urgency, he said. We'll have to see. End quote. Interesting.
Interesting, justified, and now I'm curious if it's acted upon. Because my next move when the season is done, Derek Falvey should be gone too.
Why is that like a controversial note? Like when you say that, I can feel all of like Twins territory being like, oh my God.
Yeah, he said that.
Oh my God.
He didn't say that, did he? He couldn't have said that.
It's like, okay, I mean, think about, and I don't think you should be like some of these franchises where you're just firing everyone on a whim because you didn't.
Right.
But we're not talking about like one disappointing season here. We're talking about 3 underachieving seasons in which you are trying to win the worst division in baseball.
Right.
On the back of major playoff failures and a lot of bad trades, right? Like this is a warehouse full of stuff that you would be making this move for.
Yes.
No, I think like let's see how the season plays out here, but like to be, oh my God, how could they? To suggest that what you're saying with Rocco or Derek Falvey is somehow out of bounds,
Yes.
is fascinating to me among Twins fans.
Okay, so if the contention or the goal of this show is to not necessarily win a championship, but win a playoff game for the first time in 18 years, which by the way, the justification I've seen, and I have no problem with this because baseball's weird. The justification I've seen for why the Twins shouldn't consider trading Sonny Gray or why Goldschmidt works is because baseball, once you get in, is a crapshoot. So if you get in the playoffs, you can make a run, you get hot. It's a lot in that way. It can be like hockey. But here's my question off of that then. If that is the goal of this show, do you guys think that Derek Falvey and Rocco Baldelli, who are now 0-5 in playoff games, I believe, do you guys think that those 2 gentlemen give this team the best chance possible to break the 18-game playoff losing streak?
I mean, I think they're 0-6. At this point, it doesn't really matter like who, if they get in this year, they could win a playoff game like Declan could be running the team and they could win a playoff. Like everything is kind of set for this year, except for a trade deadline move.
Rocco could screw it up. He could.
No, but Judd, it's baseball. If you get into a playoff game,
I know what you're saying, but I'm just saying Rocco Baldelli has the ability. We've seen it before. The 2 Astros games, Phil, they could have won either one of those games if they had handled the pitching right. And Rocco, well, heck, the Yankees game 2, like the Twins hurt themselves with the ability to do exactly what you're saying because they were mismanaged in all of those games.
Let me. Can I guess I take issue with like the small, like the narrow sample size of your question. I want to broaden it out and answer your questions. Like if you were to ask me, do I think Derek Falvey plus Thad Levine, that combination is among the top 10 to 15 leadership groups of a baseball front office right now in 2023? I don't think so. I do not think so. I don't know what those rankings would look like, but I know that they have tried very, very, very hard to win games the last 3 years. And it's just been, now you could raise your hand and say, but injuries, right? But some of the injury stuff is self-inflicted gambles and risks that you're taking on pitchers like Tyler Mahle and Chris Paddock and what's his name, Sam Dyson, with the injury from the Giants and whatnot. So I don't know. I guess I feel confident that the Twins are sitting on. If you would have asked me 4 or 5 years ago, I would have said absolutely one of the top 10 groups. Look what they built. But the game has also changed a lot since 2019. A lot.
Yep.
Look at some of look at the home run to fly ball ratio compared to 4 years ago. The ball is different. The game is different. The rules are different this year than they were a year ago, right? It's like it's an unrecognizably different game in a lot of ways from where it was when they had early success leading this front office.
And I think I know Judd's answer, but even going back to 19 and 20 and then looking how this current team is constructed, have they learned from those mistakes? Like pulling a pitcher, putting a dang Uber driver in game 2. Like, I think the circumstances are a lot different too. And you'd like to hope, and this is a big assumption, you'd like to hope they've learned from those mistakes. And to Judd's point, why should we even give them the benefit of the doubt if they haven't learned from those mistakes?
And as Phil just said, though, they haven't. Because guess what? The game has changed. They refuse to change. Max Kepler and Joey Gallo, and this is a small thing, but it's a big thing because it speaks to state of mind, are unplayable. And yet they're playing all of the time. The lack of adjustments, the lack of willingness, and this is in sports, absolutely crucial to admit, you know what, we screwed up. Too bad, didn't work out, but we screwed up. Let's change it. And the other thing too, and this is the thing that concerns me most, and it's part of the reason why a Goldschmidt trade doesn't interest me. Every time this team has gone out with Falvey as president of baseball operations and tried to make a trade to improve itself in season, it has screwed the pooch. The Joe Ryan trade's a great trade, but that was the reverse. That was, we'll send you Cruz to Tampa. You need a bat. Give us Joe Ryan back. Great trade. The Cincinnati trade. If Mahle was pitching, it would be bad. He's not pitching, and it's a disaster. The Paddock trade. You traded for a guy you knew was hurt. His arm was dangling. And yet you paid a large portion of not only Paddock's salary, but Rodgers' salary as well. The Sam Dyson trade is among the stupidest trades. Again, it's a guy who turned out to be hurt, a terrible guy. Okay, you know what? You screwed up there. But this team, unless I am forgetting this right now, you guys, this team has never made, with Derek Falvey in charge, an in-season trade to improve itself for a playoff run that has worked out.
Sergio Romo, I like Sergio Romo trade.
Good trade.
Good. Good.
I mean, yeah, okay.
He was
I
fun.
think that's as close
He
you
was
can
fun.
get.
He was fun. He was fun to have around. It was fun.
No,
But that was
no,
like
he
their
was an
big-
annoying pain in the ass. His teammates hated him.
Right.
He
Yeah,
never
he's fun.
shut up.
He's a 1-year fun guy.
He was fun to talk to.
He's like Patrick Beverly, kind of, right? Like,
Yeah, it's a great comp.
Yes.
Yes.
like 1 year of him. So can I
Good
give you
point.
guys one? I have one more note here before we get to Immaculate Grid. Just one more positive on the state of the Twins here. Or I should say, not one more positive. It's a positive on top of everything we just talked about. So Walker Jenkins was the Twins' first-round draft pick yesterday, number 5 overall. He's regarded as one of the top high school players in the country. From MLB Pipeline, he was North Carolina's best prep position prospect since Josh Hamilton went number 1 in 1999.
Nice.
And Josh Hamilton had some off-the-field stuff that kind of delayed his emergence into baseball, but we all know how his career turned out at the peak. It was fantastic. And then the Athletics' Keith Law had Jenkins as 5th on his top 100 prospects list, citing his 6'3", 205-pound frame, 30 home run potential as a hitter. You know, old Macadac used to dabble as a Major League Baseball writer, covered the Twins for a number of years. And so I had a scout from a different team. I'm just like, what do you think about the 3 guys the Twins drafted yesterday? So Walker Jenkins with the 5th pick. Charlie Soto was the 34th pick. He's the right-handed pitcher. And then Luke Keyshaw with the 49th overall pick from Arizona State. He's a Luke Keyshaw, as a 20-year-old in the Pac-12, hit .353 with a .725 slugging percentage, 18 bombs, 25 doubles, a triple, 58 ribs, and 18 stolen bases in 55 games for ASU, which is a really good program. And my scout friend said, the Twins have a great draft going. Love the Walker Jenkins pick. Keyshaw is a steal with the 49th overall pick, and Soto's going to be really good too. He's got tons of room for growth, already has physical presence, etc. So the Twins have had some major gaffes in the last 3 or 4 years high in the draft. I mean, unless some of these guys turn around, like Aaron Sabato, Keone Cavaco, Noah Miller. They've traded away a couple guys too, but it's just one guy in the nose opinion says that they're having a hell of a draft early on here. So now those guys aren't going to help you this September. But this was the 8th top 5 pick the Twins have had over the last 25 years, referring to Walker Jenkins, Royce Lewis, Nick Gordon, Cole Stewart, Byron Buxton, Joe Mauer, Adam Johnson, BJ Garby. So hopefully he's more along like the Joe Mauer, Royce Lewis, Byron Buxton, when they're all healthy, and not the BJ Garby sort of category.
Adam Johnson, my God.
Yeah, that was rough.
Blast from the past.
So there you go. All right, you guys ready for a little Immaculate Grid challenge here? Presented by our friends at Summit Orthopedics. We appreciate them jumping on board here at Score North. If you're dealing with any type of pain involved with your ankles, feet, back, neck, spine, elbows, hands, wrists, whatever, Summit Orthopedics can help. No referrals are needed. They offer same-day appointments. And if you're really in pain, old Mackey actually threw his back out yesterday.
Gotta be careful. You're getting old, dude. You can't be doing...
I have a heating pad.
Cardio.
Oh, boy.
Just start doing cardio.
I got sunburn.
Well, I do cardio, too. I just...
Don't lift anything. You don't need to lift.
I haven't lifted in 30 years. I'm fine.
I just hoist. I just hoist cans.
Anyhow, if you're really hurting like me, maybe I should stop into the urgent care, 8A to 8P, 25 locations in the Twin Cities.
You should.
Learn more at summitortho.com, summitortho.com. I was not far away yesterday.
Do it. You should do it. You should go, and then you can tell us about your great experience, and your back will feel good.
Legitimately,
it's not a bad idea.
It's really bad. All right. Immaculate Grid. If you haven't done the ImmaculateGrid.com, it's very addicting.
We got some Twins ones here, boys.
So, Dex, can you explain this to the audio audience, too?
Yes.
Because they can't see the visual.
I love this.
So there is a left to right, horizontal, vertical, tic-tac-toe box. That's the best way I can describe this. And there's teams you have to match in certain squares and also statistics that you have to match in certain squares. So from left to right, we have to get a Cub with a Red Sox, a Cub with a Cleveland Guardian, and a Chicago Cub that won a Cy Young. In the middle row, we have to get a Twin with the Red Sox, a Twin with the Guardian, and a Twin that won a Cy Young.
Oh, it's easy.
And then the bottom row, we need a Boston Red Sox pitcher who had 3,000 strikeouts, a Guardians pitcher who had 3,000 strikeouts, and a Cy Young 3,000 strikeout pitcher for any team. That's how we got to do this.
And ideally, if you're playing at a really high level, you go for the rarity score, which is like players
I already got a few.
Okay, I do too, I think.
Oh, this is simple.
Yeah.
So 5 minutes on the clock.
Simple.
5 minutes on the clock, boys. I'm going to start right now.
Okay.
All right. Cubs, Red Sox, I've got Bill Buckner.
Okay, Buckner's good. I have Nomar.
Which one's
People
more
forget.
rare?
Yeah, that's my...
Probably Buckner. Buckner's
Buckner
a little old school.
I think people playing the Immaculate Grid probably
Are
know
old?
more. I think it's more younger people.
Okay.
So I
How
think
about
they
Mark?
might.
What if we did Mark Bellhorn for a really obscure
Are we
one?
for sure that he played for both?
Yes,
Okay.
Mark Bellhorn.
Oh, hold on. Spelling.
Uh-oh, you're costing us time, Declan.
I know, sorry. Mark Bellhorn. All right. 1%.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. How about let's do the Twins ones. Let's do the Twins ones here. Let's just rifle them off. We got 4 minutes left.
Doug Mankiewicz is one who I thought of.
Brunansky is the one I thought of.
Yeah, Bruno. Let's go rarity score. Let's show off.
1%. Guardian and Twin, I have Pavano.
Blyleven.
Ooh, Pavano's let's do Pavano. That's a fun one.
Sure. This is great. We're all over this.
1%.
Twin who won the Cy. I mean, Johan, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, this one everyone's
Perry.
gonna have, so
Jim Perry won it.
Let's go rare. Jim Perry.
is Perry going to count? Was he with the Nationals or was he with the Twins?
Twins,
Perry?
right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, the Senators.
Yeah, Senators, sorry.
Did Jim Perry win a Cy with the Twins?
Yeah, but you know what? Just in case, just go.
Okay, we'll go Johan.
Yeah,
we can
yeah.
go.
Just in case,
Johan?
go Santana.
We'll go Johan. It's gonna wreck our. It's gonna wreck
All
our
right,
score.
so 88. That's okay. That's okay.
That's okay. That's fine.
All right.
That's fine.
A Cub for a Cy Young award. I mean, did Fergie Jenkins
Maddox?
ever win one? Greg Maddux, did he win one?
That's what I was going to ask you.
Wow,
So he won one with the Braves, and he pitched for the Cubs.
It's
Right.
got-
It has to be a Cub
with
who
the
won a
Cubs.
Cy Young Award.
Did Rick Sutcliffe win it in '84 in his 16-1 season?
That's a really good one.
I know you don't like wins, but he was 16-1.
So I can tell what Arrieta won one like 4 years ago, so we have that one in our back pocket.
But didn't he win it? Oh no, that's
won
right.
it with the Cubs.
Yep.
He won it with
So
the
we
Cubs.
have that. We do have that.
I don't know that Maddux won one with the Cubs. I
Yeah,
don't think
I'm not
Kerry Wood or Mark Pryor ever won
No,
one.
they didn't.
I bet you're right about Fergie Jenkins, but I'm not sure of that.
Okay.
I want to say Sutcliffe but yeah, Jake's good because that's probably.
Okay.
I
We got
think
2.5
it'll go-
minutes left. We're halfway home.
Yeah, we're fine.
Arrieta, 49%.
All right.
We got
You want
Joe
to do a Cub who was a
Cleveland.
Gardo here?
Joe Carter got traded for Sutcliffe in that trade.
Joe Carter.
Wow, that's a great one.
Or wait. Actually, you know what? Mel Hall, right? Didn't Mel Hall?
I don't know, man.
That's going to be a rare pull.
Do it.
Mel Hall, who I think's incarcerated now.
Mel Hall.
81 to 96. Yep, Mel Hall.
Yep.
Wow,
0.7. Judd.
Yeah, let's go. All right, 2 minutes left. So a Guardian with 3,000 career strikeouts, Bob Feller. We go Bob Feller, Judd.
Sure.
Feller.
Feller.
From 36 to 56.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Oh no!
You guys!
What happened?
No!
Bob
Wrap it up.
Feller did not have. Oh, I'm sorry, dudes. What?
Oh.
What?
All right, so dang it. All right, so hold on here.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So for Cy Young
What?
and 3,000 and for Red Sox 3,000, I mean, you could do Clemens for both these Cy Young 3,000 ones.
I feel terrible. Oh boy, dude. Bob Feller led the league in strikeouts for 7 straight years. He also
think
missed
it's
a couple
immaculate.
years in World War II.
Should I put Clemens for Cy Young and maybe Pedro for Red Sox?
Sure. Yeah. So it's done. So we're done.
Well, so we can't get a
get
perfect
immaculate.
one. Yeah, it's my fault. I'm sorry. Who would have thought?
And Pedro.
God dang it. Okay.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, boy.
8 out of 9 on the
Statistics here.
Immaculate Grid.
Oh, CC Sabathia, huh?
So, yeah, David Ortiz was a common one for the Twins. Johan was a common one. CC was, the Gardo's one, which we probably should.
I don't know that I would have guessed DC Sabathia had 3,000 strikeouts with confidence. If you would have said to me, Phil, more likely to have 3,000 strikeouts, CC Sabathia or Bob Feller?
Yeah,
I incorrectly would have said Bob Feller.
I am shocked that Bob didn't get
It
the
looks like
3,000.
the Twins and Guardian Square has been the hardest one for people to grab.
Yeah, it's because they're
A couple Midwest teams.
Yeah, because no one cares about the division.
No, okay.
Well, I'll take the L on that one. Wow.
Pedro
that
Munoz,
was
right?
Pedro Munoz?
I think he played. I think he.
Matt
I think
Lawton?
He, yeah,
Matt Lawton?
That's a great one. Matt Lawton. I think
Jim Thome?
Munoz
Jim
spent
Thome?
some- Yeah, that's we could have thought of that. That's not that exciting.
Boy, I will
Where
walk
are
on,
they?
walk on eggshells next time.
No, I don't want you to.
Ooh, I bet,
No,
dude.
no,
The
no,
Immaculate
no.
Grid will get you
Don't
like
play
that,
afraid,
you know?
Phil. Don't play afraid.
Well, hey, it's back. The Score North Twin Show. If you made it this far, if you could give us a 5-star
you.
rating and a positive review on Apple Podcasts as we get this thing relaunched, and click the subscribe button and the like button on the Score North YouTube channel, and let us know. Well, how about this one? Would you guys? So I like Declan's idea. Give him a pitcher or two. What if you kicked in Matt Wallner?
Yeah, I thought about that as well.
Give him Matt Wallner.
So Olber,
Wallner.
a
Because
prospect.
Goldschmidt makes it harder for Wallner to get into a game anyways, right? Because now you're going to move Kirilloff to
Yeah.
a corner spot. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, clearly they're not going to promote him.
What
Jeez.
would you offer for Paul Goldschmidt? Or would you fire Rocco? Let us know in the YouTube comment sections.
And then when the season's done, Falvey out the door, new administration.
All right. The Score North Twin Show is back with a vengeance. We just want the Twins to win a playoff game, damn it.